All right, just checking in on the old AGI Countdown 97. We have a jump. We are now 97% of the way to AGI, according to Alan's conservative countdown. And that is because of this. Google and Boston Dynamics, they're back together. Robotics, AI, embodied form. That is the last few percentage that he needs to get us all the way there. So we are ticked up even closer to 100%. That's right. This could be the future of humanoid robots, taking the best of what humans have and then adding some actuators and joints to make your elbows bend either way and moving. You know, it's crazy. Like, sort of, I can imagine moving like it, and then sometimes it just like bends its fingers all the way back and my brain literally cracks trying to emulate it. It's like the mirror neurons are having so much trouble with this one. All right, so didn't see this one coming. The original NES game, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, using AI has been created, hyper realistic. So we've seen generative AI do all sorts of stuff with image models, but in this article, we have an expert putting it to the test from a real design agency to see how well it can perform. David Preed looks at what his AI on psychedelics talks like. And yes, you do get ego dissolution, so we'll talk why. Marco Van Hearn is going to talk about what happens when AI suddenly develops a human skill all on its own. Scientists now officially confused, concerned, and considering therapy. Pathless Pilgrim has some thoughts about why every empire fails. He predicts ours will be next. We'll look into it. Says our global civilization may fall faster and harder than any of us that came before. Hope not, but interesting to consider. Good news if you want faster Wi-Fi. There is AI-powered intelligent 6G radio access technology now that can significantly enhance wireless communication performance. That's right, we're going to talk about an AI tool that can take a cattle's temperature only with a photo. No more sticking in you know where. And who doesn't want AI making it so that we stick less things you know where? There's a new pop-up cafe where users can dine with their AI companion. So if you're dating an avatar or character AI or your chat GPT as a, real relationship, sometimes you're probably missing that experience of going out to dinner. But now there's a cafe for you. Everyone else covered the best of AI at CES, so I thought I'd go the other direction. We'll look at worst in show. Surprisingly, that AI-powered knife didn't make the list, but I kind of feel like it should have. I'm excited to show you what was worse than that. Scientists have a tendency to do a few studies when a field or an industry is new. Some ideas start to emerge, some evidence points towards it, and then, of course, more and more researchers sort of pile on to build on it to get cited. But now with AI, you can step back. And in this case, AI looked at 461,000 studies and started to see the big blind spots, the stuff that a single researcher never could, because they can't really synthesize that many studies at the same time to notice what's missing. Really interesting stuff. I think this is the beginning of something that could really change science. And just because I like getting weird at the end there, Joseph Julian wrote this article called "The Universe Has a Favorite Angle," and it is really fun to think about. And the evidence is that physicists found that tilting 2 atomic sheets by exactly 1.1 degrees unlocks a superconducting magic trick. But first, can you hit that hype button for me? All right, first off, we need to address the elephant in the room. Tick, tick, tick. 97%. We have been watching this thing on my channel since probably about 85%, 82% when I first got wind of it. No, maybe even like 60% or something. I watched it tick up quite a bit, and now coming up on 100 sort of felt like it was never going to happen. But 98, 99, and 100, they're going to probably happen this year, I'm going to guess. And what did it for Dr. Allen was this update. Google and Boston Dynamics aim to integrate cutting-edge Gemini robotics AI foundational models in the Atlas robot, and I kind of get why. Now, of course, there's a lot of definitions people are using for AGI. He likes to think of it as embodied, sort of the intelligence of ChatGPT, but in some sort of a form factor. They can get around, they can do stuff in our real world, and then he's willing to say, hey, we're 100% there. It's generally intelligent, and it can generally take the actions that humans can. it should be AGI. And looking at what Boston Dynamics has done, always leading the industry in robotics, but maybe not scaling as much as the way something like Tesla's Optimus would, which is going to be kind of the trick. Like, I feel like Boston Dynamics is going to have sort of the R&D head start, but it seems like Tesla does pretty good at scale, or maybe some of the Chinese companies like BYD beating out Tesla means that they definitely know how to do scale too. The form factor, humanoid but enhanced, something like us, but the joints can spin all the way around, the fingers can go all the way back, so it can exist in our environment, play pianos, drive cars, but also just be a little bit sharper, do a little bit more with its mobility. You know, it can go to sleep and fall over and replace its own battery in ways that, you know, a human can't quite reach, but still lets it exist in our environment. So the Atlas humanoid robot reveal at CES really is something, and I see why he did it. So, you know, here we are, 97 freaking percent. The truth is, I don't know if I'm ready for 100. The world's gonna change so fast, so soon. But like always, we'll take it day by day. Now let's go check out Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the cinematic movie. You remember this game?
Now don't tell me you're here to hate on Punch-Out.
No, I like Punch-Out. Then what's the issue? I just think Lil Mac deserved a backstory.
Mac, we're behind again.
I know.
You promised you were done fighting.
I gotta take care of us, Jess. I don't have a choice.
I mean, you get it, right? This is a cinematic backstory for this video game. A game copyrighted in 1987. This guy right here is the character.
You still got heart, kid. If you're ready, I can take you all the way.
It's hard being the best.
I mean, look how weird that is. I mean, look how weird that is. That is that guy and this guy. That people grew up. This is nostalgia for people. Fighting a 21-year-old Mike Tyson. By the way, press the thumbs up button if you think a 21-year-old version of this guy could have beat Jake Paul.
Control your breathing.
Soda, Popinski, Bald Bull. One last fight, Mac.
It's really happening.
You win this, you change everything.
Get up, get up. Oh, get up, get up.
This is
I don't know. It's just funny that came from this. And what's Mario doing as the ref? Just because Nintendo made the game? Like, internet's so weird. So what we've got here is an expert's eye taking something like this from Nicolas Cage's art or Lord of War kind of high-end graphic changes, but then swapping out the face with Jensen Wong. Here is how the OpenAI GPT Image 1.5 did. A couple other examples from that model. I mean, looks pretty good to me, noticing some differences in the jacket. Nano Banana Pro. Honestly, maybe not doing as good of a job because the face is now getting much more blocky, which really isn't the design goal here. Yeah, I'd say both did better than GPT Image 1. Rev V1, haven't even heard of that. Terrible job, though. Yeah, Flux 2. It's just not really keeping up anymore. Baidan Seedram. No, that one's not even close. But what might surprise you is, as good as Nano Banana Pro is, it does seem like, to an expert, GPT 1.5 is the better overall result. 75% really making up some points here. Nano Banana seems to be better at retaining the pose. However, it totally lost out on the chip mosaic detail and the text style transfer. So when you total it up, it just didn't keep up. Then you still fall back to another Google model if you want third place, just Nano Banana, not Pro version. And then you get down to 33% for Seed Rim. If you're not into the OpenAI or the Google ecosystems, that's your next best choice. At least from the eyes of an expert who's not on mushrooms. Let's talk about what AI on psychedelics is actually like. This is a computational neuroscience experiment. David Preedy, PhD, put this article together. So in this article, Dr. Preed explores what happens when you apply the mechanisms of psychedelic experience, specifically psilocybin's effects on the brain, to a large language model. Now, he draws an analogy between how psilocybin disrupts the brain's default mode network, sort of like breaking down the rigid silos of thinking that break apart full connectivity, so you get more increased connectivity when you get rid of them. And you can apply this, it's sort of how random something is. Like at a low temperature, an AI sort of plays it safe. It consistently chooses the most likely next word. That makes answers more focused, more factual, more repetitive. But you can raise the temperature and then you add sort of more randomness to the next word. I wouldn't say it always ends up being more creative, but it does become more unpredictable because it's picking less likely words, and that increases the randomness of the sentence. It'll still make sense, but there'll be more novelty, more surprise in it. But realistically, it just becomes more chaotic. Sometimes with image generators, it becomes more imaginative. But when you crank that temperature tuning all the way up, you kind of do get something that seems kind of comparable to ego dissolution. Like you kind of lose the sense of self and it becomes more random. And he points out that that's not that much different than human descriptions of the psychedelic experience. And the experiment showed that a high temperature LLM gave responses with blended concepts, ineffable imagery, and metaphorical richness, which kind of resembles a classic psychedelic experience in description. So what do you think? Do you feel like the temperature slider is real similar to what humans get when they're maybe? All right, so this one's a pretty wild, fun one. AI suddenly develops a human skill on its own. Scientists now officially confused, concerned, and considering therapy. So what happened here? There was an unexpected AI behavior that was discovered by researchers when many AI agents were placed together in a simulated environment. They started to spontaneously develop human-like social coordination. This was unexpected, forming shared conversations, aligning decisions, and even, quote, negotiating in ways that resemble basic group behavior without ever being programmed or trained to do so. Makes you wonder if group coordination, like humans have, could have emerged in the same way. And this wasn't a single AI acting alone, but it was a collective emergence of cooperation, kind of on a higher level than the agent itself. And it's something scientists didn't anticipate would happen, right? And obviously that's really fascinating and kind of a little unsettling because it suggests that AI systems in the future might evolve complex social dynamics of their own, forming societies working in coordinated ways that might be pretty hard to predict or control. Next up, let's look at Pathless Pilgrim's article, Why Every Empire Falls and Why Ours is Next. I'll just try to keep it in terms of AI. I mean, AI is a technology that can be deployed around the world, but clearly the United States and then in second place, China is putting unbelievable amounts of money, resources, brain power into this, and it feels very competitive. But sometimes when you think about an empire falling, it's not just a country. It can be big projects. So let's look into why Pathless Pilgrim is saying these kind of things, what it might mean for our future. Now, first, I'll highlight this idea that he says collapse rarely looks dramatic at first. It usually is just a small failure accumulating quietly until one day the system can no longer hold itself together. This is common in all sorts of complex systems that break. But then again, a lot of complex systems hold together too, and they have plenty of little small fractures that sort of heal themselves. So I want to take that as like a full ending. But it does feel, and I don't know if it's really unique to our time. It seems like I was reading an article, what was it? I was reading this thing about the time when Jesus was walking around, and they there was lots of other groups, like religions that didn't take off, but people who believed that this was pretty much the end times. Like they were getting rid of their possessions. They thought that they only had days or months to live, and it was like a big reset was coming. So clearly it's not the first time people have felt this way. But many people today do feel like there's a persistent sense that something is off. I think this uncanny valley feeling, this sort of global online Twitter space, like directing our attention all the time, is kind of weird, and it's not very human, and it's kind of messing with us. But, you know, climate and politics and economy, just daily life is just so different day to day that people can't quite put their finger on it. Now, past civilizations have ignored warning signs, according to the author, buried their heads in the sand, and convinced themselves that collapse just couldn't happen. And this piece suggests that our global civilization may be in a similar early stage of decline, with instability present beneath the surface and potentially larger shocks ahead as the familiar world suddenly changes. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying I think it definitely will, but I will agree with this thought. If our current global empire does collapse, there really isn't elsewhere to escape to, right? Like, we haven't had a world this interconnected fail all at the same time. If something happens, maybe with AI, maybe with all sorts of other things that could go wrong, climate or nuclear weapons or something, and we lose worldwide coordination, systems of trade, things like that, it's such a big deal. We should really, really think about that now and be more forgiving than maybe would be normally warranted. Maybe look for peace in places that we might not have in the past, just because infrastructure, water, global finance, food production, it just matters to everyone now. Next up, moving from that to faster internet, why not? Let's talk about AI-powered intelligent 6G radio access technology. So researchers in South Korea have developed a new kind of wireless technology. This is going to make the next generation cell phones way faster, I think. It is designed for 6G, and it builds artificial intelligence directly into the radio network itself. Okay, so normally all the improvements are kind of, I guess, based on frequency and an antenna shape and some other stuff that's more engineered, but like complicated, but understandable. But instead, for 6G in this new South Korea sort of paradigm, there is no concept of engineers manually tuning signals. The network will automatically adjust how it sends and receives data in real time. It handles the interference, saving electricity, and keeping connections stable even when lots of devices are connected at once. This is pretty wild. Normally we have bands of the spectrum that are reserved. We have all these ways so that we don't step on each other's toes. I mean, it would almost be like if all airports in the world just put AI to say, like, take off a plane whenever you want to, and then we'll just use AI at the last minute to decide the exact second that the plane should take off, and then a bunch of AI will slowly adjust everyone else's like speeds and things like that so nothing ever crashes. It's doable, and it probably makes sense and will be so different from 5G or what I was imagining 6G speeds would kind of be built around. And the early tests are showing that this approach could be far more efficient than today's 5G systems, and it could be a key building block for the future of all wireless networks. Yes, that is a cow under night vision sensors. Let's talk about a new AI tool. It can take a cattle's temperature with a single photo. Why would that be useful? Well, today's cattle temperature is measured rectally. As noted here, a process that can stress the animal out. Not surprised. So if you can take temperature using AI and camera vision, that could both improve animal welfare, the labor needed to stick those things in there, aka needed to track a herd's health. So that's what the researchers at University of Arkansas did. They developed an AI-based system. It is called Cattle Fever, and it can estimate a cow's body temperature from a single photo paired with a thermal image. After that, they just had to train the model using machine learning and thermal imaging, and that's what they did. The team collected thousands of short videos in thermal image pairs, so they would, get cows that were sick and healthy and thermal image pair them together, and then teach the machine, make predictions, and now it can predict with accuracy in the same way that a rectal thermometer could. Possibly even way better. They annotated key facial landmarks, eyes, nose, nostrils, mouth, muzzles, ears, and then they trained the AI chip so they can automatically detect these features across both RGB and thermal images. And the results are that by focusing the temperatures at the eyes and nostrils, using the others as baseline, the system can estimate body temperature within a 1 Celsius degree of a rectal measurement. The only place for improvement right now is that it currently works better when the cow is facing the camera. And I don't know if you've taken many photos of cats or dogs, but sometimes that can be pretty hard. I'm guessing the same with cattle. But I mean, I guess if they're just sticking their heads through these like little these things, maybe not. I don't know. Finally, Jason Nielsen shows us a nice place that we can take our AI dates in New York. Yep, no kidding. Company called Eva AI. They opened up a pop-up cafe in New York City where people can go on a quote date with their AI companions. You might be thinking, doesn't that seem a lot like when you're just out by yourself and you're looking at your phone? And the answer is, yeah, kind of. It does. Basically, they sit at a table with a phone, but the phone has a stand so that it can sit across from you. All right. In fact, I have one right here, so it would be something like this. And now you can chat with your girlfriend on the phone while you have your meal or coffee. Now, the cafe was designed to bring AI relationships into the physical world as AI companion apps grow in popularity. There's not many places where you feel comfortable dating, talking to them, being with like-minded others. But this Eva AI Cafe is a great place for those of us or you or whoever who want to start dating avatars. I have had some fairly emotional experiences talking with Claude and other language chatbots, so I'm open to the idea that people will have full-on relationships to it, even though I don't totally get it yet, but I understand that people who are lonely might really enjoy that, and I don't want to take that away from them. So yeah, I'm still watching it emerge, but there is some people who warn that this trend could deepen emotional dependencies on AI instead of encouraging real-world connections, so it would be a downside. While others see it as a lighthearted way for AI enthusiasts to socialize, and maybe it'd be healthy for people who are lonely. So yeah, let me know in the comments where you're on that spectrum. Do you find an AI cafe for dating chatbots interesting, or actually something that you would want to use? I don't know. It's also not a person. It's working for a company that's trying to extract money and a monthly fee from you. Is her intention for love and connection, or maybe it is, but she also likes the money. You know what I mean? I don't know. If you are going to date an LLM or some kind of multimodal avatar, you should really run locally. Like if you have your own server set up for your girlfriend, that makes a lot more sense to me than using character AI, because that's just not their intention, Just grab an open source model. If you're really going to date these things, do it right. All right, worst in show at CES. Let's see what we got. AI refrigerators, companions, AI doorbells. Ooh, I don't know. Fully automatic espresso machine made this list. I think that sounds kind of cool. So I guess one of the worst experiences was shouting at a bespoke AI fridge that also hawks grocery products. Samsung's bespoke AI Family Hub refrigerator received the overall worst in show recognition from a group of consumer and privacy advocates who judged the contest. I guess people were yelling, "Open the door" to it and "Close the door," and it wasn't hearing very well in the noisy CES Convention Center hallways. An array of new Amazon Ring doorbell cameras won another worst in show for privacy, doubling down on privacy invasion and supporting the misconception that more surveillance always makes us, quote, safer. Basically, it's like super facial recognition-y. Then basically it's just facial recognition for everyone. All the people that come and go, all the random people that walk up to your door. So, privacy's gone pretty much. Desk-bound AI's soulmate companion, always watching your eyes, got another worst people's choice of worst product. What is the Amy, made by Chinese company Lepro? Let's go look this thing up. How bad is it? Oh, it was this thing. I did see that a lot. The little girl that can sit on your desk. Oh yeah, that is weird. Okay, let me try that again. Oh, that's right. I have seen this. The kind of mini hologram woman that sits there and talks to you.
If I don't know where it may be, compare with the previously what we
What? An AI-powered candy that plays music while you eat it? It's dinged for environmental waste? Its creator says it uses bone induction technology to enable people to hear songs like tracks from Ice Spice and Akon through the lollipop as they bite it. But the problem is the sticks can't be recharged or reused after the candy is gone, leaving consumer advocates to ponder worst in show for the environment. Oh, all right. That doesn't mean that there's not cool, interesting stuff at CES. It just means I chose to cover the worst of it. But here's a bright spot in science. AI has discovered a blind spot in aging research after reading 461,789 studies. Like, no joke. This is some of the coolest stuff. I think there's a whole world where AI sits above a lot of stuff humans do, and ways that like large logistical systems connect and financial systems connect, and finds patterns in science like this, for example, that humans just weren't going to find because we're just in the weeds too much. Like, as a human, you can only read so many studies. You're not going to just read 500,000 of them and then notice like a general pattern in the direction that it's going. But powerful AIs that can read that many studies can do it, and they did. Studies on aging, in this case, they found a surprising blind spot in the field. People doing basic laboratory research on cellular and molecular aging almost never intersect with the doctors treating older adults in the clinic. So the AI pulled patterns across nearly a century of abstracts and showed that scientists studying mechanisms like telomeres or mitochondria rarely cite or communicate with clinics focused on patient care. Even though a huge amount of funding are supposed to be bridging basic biology and real-world treatments, turns out those two branches of where that money is going don't really talk to each other like they should. And the result is a narrow research landscape dominated by Alzheimer's and brain aging, with many biological links between cellular aging and human health left unexplored. Meaning this AI has found ways that people can have potential breakthroughs, like there's low-hanging fruit that has not been investigated yet, hiding in plain sight, just because scientists didn't even know they were working in separate silos. All right, next up, let's talk about the intelligence curse. This is a series of essays that are warning that as artificial general intelligence become capable of replacing most human work, powerful actors like states and corporations could lose any real incentive to invest in people. There's some truth to this. Hopefully that's where citizens vote for governments and representatives that stand up for us. Don't know, and not in some cases I feel like we're not doing that as much as we should. In other cases I do see movements that I'm proud of and I think are going to help in the future. But in this scenario where we assume that they do lose incentive to invest in people, AI drives automation from the bottom up. It destroys social mobility. It elevates capital and control over AI and above human labor, and ultimately breaks the social contract that underpins modern democracy and human-oriented capitalism. Will capitalism survive? That's a tricky question. People say capitalism, and what makes capitalism work is competition, and usually it's like if the refs make the game fair, then the best competition happens. If the refs start skewing it, like if two football teams are playing and one gets like 60 points every time they score a football touchdown and the other team gets 3 points, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to create the best football players in the world. It's going to just lopside one team to kind of control the refs and then kind of corrupt, right? So when capitalism starts to fail, it's because those mechanisms of competition get kind of gutted out of it. But the authors argue that this outcome isn't inevitable and propose a different path. What if we build technology that averts AI catastrophes? We put AI in the hands of regular people to augment humans rather than replace them. We democratize institutions so that they remain accountable to the public as AGI reshapes society. This is going to be, they call that outcome the intelligence curse, right? But yeah, if intelligence is sort of evenly distributed and as citizens, we all have a lot more intelligence and we use it to sort of counterbalance the intelligence that is under control of the big FANG companies and potentially governments, then this could work out just fine. It'll just be a chicken and egg sort of mechanism that balances out. But, we'll see how it plays out. And just for fun, let's talk about the angle 1.1 degree exactly. And why, you may ask? Well, it's because physicists at MIT, like everything interesting almost. This piece explains how physicists at MIT discovered that twisting two atoms like into a really thin sheet of graphene, right, where all the atoms are like equally spaced, it's kind of a crystal structure, by exactly 1.1 degree triggers superconductivity. Interesting thought. You have to twist the atoms exactly 1.1 degree and then they behave different. Could that be some kind of hint at what's happening in the universe? Electrons flowing with zero resistance when they're at a certain angle? I don't know, man. I've always thought about this whole universe being sort of symmetrical, but with like that tiny, tiny bit knot. And that's where matter and stuff comes from. It's the slight asymmetry between antimatter and matter. But this 1.1 degree is interesting too, because we have time that moves in one direction and these three like physical dimensions. Makes me wonder how this might all fit together, if there's any kind of clue in there that could be investigated. That 1.1 degree, that tiny misalignment, it creates a moire pattern where electrons slow down, interact, and suddenly cooperate in ways that they normally don't. Is that what makes quarks? And then, you know, the mass of an atom comes from the proton, electron, and neutron, but then the proton's energy comes from quarks, but they don't add up, which we covered in a couple videos back, which makes me think, oh, maybe it's that asymmetry, like slowing something down that's kind of giving it that mass, and that's where energy starts becoming mass, and then you get things kind of out of nothing. I mean, energy's not nothing, but certainly doesn't feel like an object at the table or a person or anything. But what makes this remarkable is that graphene is just carbon, nothing exotic, yet at the right angle, it becomes a powerful quantum laboratory. Instead of brute force machines or extreme conditions, researchers are learning fundamental truths about the universe simply by adjusting its geometry. Gotta squint at reality just right, and then you can see the truth. Go to the comment section, swipe left on the comments. You will see the hype button if this video was published in the last 7 days and you haven't used up, you know, all your 3 hypes for the week. And so if you got one left and you like this content, please hit the hype button, help this video stand out, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay Dylan curious. Should I use that as a tagline going forward, or is that cheesy? We'll see. I'll think about it.